I was using every single free moment caring for my ill mother at our house, still ensuring the kids were fed and the house stayed clean, when my husband stared straight into my eyes and said, "I'm finished feeling like a visitor in my own home. If you truly loved me, you'd quit putting everyone else ahead of me." Can you believe what my husband, Michael, looked me dead in the eyes and said last night? He actually told me, "If you really loved me, you'd stop prioritizing everyone else." I was loading the dishwasher, a plate still in my hand, and I just froze. What kind of monster says that to his wife? My mom and is upstairs dying of stage 4 cancer. Given maybe 6 months back in October. 6 months. She's 67. And she wanted to die at home, surrounded by family, not in some sterile facility. So 3 months ago I brought her here into our home. The one Michael and I bought together 5 years ago, where we're raising our kids, Ava, who's 8, and Carlos, who's 6. For 3 grueling months I've been running myself ragged doing everything. I wake up at 5 a.m. every single day, helping my mom with her morning routine before Ava and Carlos even stir. Then it's breakfast for everyone, getting the kids ready for school. Twice a week, it's doctor's appointments for mom. Her medications? That's a full-time job in itself, perfectly timed every dose. Afternoons are a blur of school pickups, homework, dinner, getting mom settled for the night, laundry, cleaning, groceries, all while I'm trying to keep up with my part-time medical transcription job from home. And Michael? He works his regular 9 to 5 as an accountant. He comes home and honestly it feels like he's doing me a favor just by existing in the same house. So when he dropped that bomb I just looked at him. What exactly do you mean by living like a guest? I asked, my voice probably sharper than I intended. Because from where I'm standing you're living like a king, with a wife who literally does everything. He didn't miss a beat. That's exactly the problem, he shot back. I do everything for everyone except me. I slowly put the plate down, the suds dripping onto the counter. Okay, I said, trying to keep my voice even. Explain it. What do you need that you're not getting? That's when he started in. No date nights in months, our conversations always ending with me complaining about being overwhelmed. Michael, I cut him off. I am overwhelmed. I'm caring for my dying mother, raising our 2 kids, and single-handedly running this entire household. He nodded, fake sympathetic. I know it's hard, but I didn't sign up for my mother-in-law living with us indefinitely. Indefinitely? My blood ran cold. She's not living here indefinitely, I said, each word precise. She's dying here. And it's only been 3 months. He actually scoffed. 3 months feels like 3 years when your wife barely looks at you anymore. That's when I laughed. It wasn't a happy laugh though. It was that hollow, exhausted laugh when you're so tired, so done, you don't even know what else to do. Are you seriously jealous? I asked, disbelief thick in my voice. Jealous of my dying mother? And our young children who need their mom? He swore he wasn't jealous. I'm just lonely, he said. Lonely in my own marriage. He reached for my hands but I pulled away. Partially because I was elbow deep in dishwater, mostly because I was seething. We need to talk about this seriously, he insisted. Fine, I snapped. Let's talk. And then he said it. The words that truly cemented his selfishness. Maybe we should look into getting your mom into a nursing home or hospice care. This situation isn't sustainable. For our marriage. My mom had maybe 3 or 4 months left if we were lucky. She'd explicitly begged me to let her die at home, surrounded by family, not in some sterile, lonely facility. She has months, Michael. I pleaded. She asked to die here. He shrugged. I'm sorry about your mom, but our marriage has to come first. Our marriage? I wanted to scream. What marriage exactly? I shot back, my voice trembling with rage. Because from where I'm standing, I'm the only one in it who's actually doing anything. He got defensive then, claiming he works full-time, pays most of the bills. I work too, I reminded him. And I do everything else around here. He said his job is demanding, and when he comes home, he needs his wife, not a stressed-out caregiver who barely acknowledges him. That's when I truly lost it. I barely acknowledge you because I'm exhausted, I yelled. Exhausted from keeping 3 people alive and 2 children functioning. While you sit on the couch watching sports and complaining you're not getting enough attention. That's not fair, he retorted. You're making me sound like a villain. I'm just trying to save our marriage. How? I challenged. How exactly does abandoning my dying mother save our marriage? It's not abandoning, he argued. It's setting boundaries. The boundary, I said, my voice dangerously low, is that my mom is staying here until she passes. And if you can't handle that, then you can leave. He looked at me like I'd slapped him. So that's really where we are? He asked. I'm just supposed to either deal with it or get out. Yes, I stated, unflinching. That is exactly where we are. Because my mother is dying, and I will not spend whatever time she has left fighting with my husband about whether she deserves to be here. Michael walked out of the kitchen. A moment later, I heard him going upstairs. 15 minutes later, he came back down with a pillow and some blankets. I'm sleeping in the guest room, he announced, until you come to your senses. Fine, I bit out. Sleep wherever you want. I've got more important things to worry about. That was Tuesday. It's now Sunday, and he's still in the guest room. But it gets so much worse. Wednesday morning, I woke up to get my mom ready, and Michael was already gone. His car wasn't in the driveway. He usually leaves around 7:30, but it was 6 a.m. No text. No call. Just disappeared. He came home that night around 9 p.m., late for him. I was in the living room with my mom watching TV after putting the kids to bed, and he just walked right past us without a word. Straight upstairs to the guest room and closed the door. Thursday, I tried to talk to him. Can we please sit down and discuss this like adults? I pleaded. He said, there's nothing to discuss until you're ready to admit you're wrong. Wrong about what? I asked, bewildered. Prioritizing everyone over me, he stated. That's not what's happening, I explained, trying to keep my frustration in check. I'm just trying to keep my family together during an impossible time. He countered. If you were really trying to keep the family together, you'd put our marriage first. How? I asked, desperate. By finding alternative care for your mom, he said. So we can get back to normal. This is normal now, I told him, my voice cracking. For however long my mom has left. And you need to accept that. Michael actually laughed. A cold, dismissive laugh. You're delusional if you think this is sustainable, he sneered. You look exhausted all the time. You're short with the kids. You're letting our marriage fall apart. I look exhausted because I am exhausted, I shot back. And maybe if you helped more instead of sulking in the guest room, I'd have some energy left over. He actually claimed he does help. I just took Carlos to soccer practice last weekend, he said, as if that was some grand gesture. I stared at him. Just stared. He took our son to one soccer practice, and he thinks that counts as helping when I'm doing literally everything else 24/7? Are you serious right now? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. I'm dead serious, he said. And I'm tired of being made to feel guilty for having needs. What needs specifically? I pressed. Emotional needs, physical needs. The need to feel like I matter to my wife. You do matter, I cried. But right now my priority has to be my mom because she's dying and our kids because they're children. And what about him? He demanded. You're a grown man, Michael, I said, my voice tired. You can take care of yourself for a few months. That's not what marriage is supposed to be, he muttered. Friday morning he came downstairs while I was making breakfast. I've been doing some thinking, he announced. My stomach dropped. Nothing good ever comes from a man saying that. I love you, he began, but I can't keep living like this. You need to make a choice. A choice? What choice? I asked, my heart pounding. Choose him or choose the situation with my mom. I actually dropped the spatula. It clattered to the floor, forgotten. You cannot be serious right now, I whispered. I'm completely serious, he said, his voice flat. Either you find other arrangements for your mom, or I'm going to start making arrangements for myself. Are you threatening to leave me? I asked, numb. I'm not threatening anything, he said. I'm just being honest about what I need. What I need, I countered, tears stinging my eyes, is a husband who supports me through the hardest time of my life, not one who gives ultimatums. I've been supporting you for 3 months, he snapped. And where has it gotten me? Sleeping in the guest room, feeling like a stranger in my own home. You're sleeping in the guest room because you chose to move there. I reminded him. I moved there, he said, because sharing a bed with someone who barely tolerates me anymore was too depressing. I don't barely tolerate you, I cried. I'm just exhausted from everything I'm doing. That's his point exactly, he said. You're so focused on everyone else that there's nothing left for him. What do you want from me specifically right now? I demanded. I want my wife back, he said, his voice softer, almost mournful. The woman who used to laugh at his jokes, who actually seemed happy to see him, who made him feel wanted. That woman is still here, I said, my voice thick with emotion. She's just buried under 3 months of no sleep and constant caregiving and stress. Then maybe it's time to let some of that go, he said. How? I asked. Find other care for my mom, he repeated. I looked at him, standing there in our kitchen in his work clothes, about to leave for his nice, quiet office, while I was about to spend another day managing medications, doctor appointments, 2 kids, and somehow keeping the house from falling apart. And I said, no. Just no. My mom stays. You're making a mistake, he warned. And you'll regret choosing this over our marriage. I'm not choosing anything over our marriage, I told him, my voice firm. I'm refusing to abandon my dying mother. And if you can't understand that, then maybe we have bigger problems than where you're sleeping. He left for work without saying goodbye. Friday night, Michael came home and went straight to the guest room again. Saturday morning, I got up and found him already dressed and leaving. Where are you going? I asked. Just out, he said. He was gone all day. Didn't answer my calls or texts. Came home at 11 p.m. I was still up, too worried to sleep. Where have you been for 15 hours? I asked. With friends, he said. Which friends? I pushed. Does it matter? He shot back. Yes, it matters. I cried. I'm your wife and you disappeared for an entire day. You've been disappearing into caregiving for 3 months, he said coldly. So now we're even. That's not even close to the same thing, and you know it. I retorted. From his perspective it is, he said. You've been checked out of our marriage since your mom moved in. Are you checking out now too? I asked, my heart sinking. Maybe I am, he said. Because what's the point of being here if you're not really here? Sunday morning, I woke up and Michael was packing a bag. Not a small bag. His big suitcase. What are you doing? I asked, fear gripping me. I'm going to stay with my brother Vincent for a while, he said. For how long? I asked, my voice barely audible. Until you figure out what you want. I know what I want. I cried. I want my mom to be comfortable in her final months, and I want my husband to support me through it. That's the problem right there, he said, shaking his head. Your mom, and your wants, and nothing about what he wants. What do you want, Michael? I asked, tears streaming down my face. He looked at me, his eyes hard. I want you to choose me. Right now. Choose me over this situation. It's not a situation, I pleaded. It's my mother. He sighed. Then I guess I have my answer. He grabbed his suitcase and walked downstairs. I followed him, my legs numb. He went to the kids' rooms, woke up Ava and Carlos to say goodbye. They were confused. Daddy, where are you going? Ava asked. He told them he's staying with Uncle Vincent for a little bit, but he'll see them soon. Ava, always perceptive, asked, Are Mommy and Daddy fighting? He lied. No, sweetie. Sometimes grown-ups just need space. He left. Just walked out the door with his suitcase, drove away at 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning, leaving me standing there with 2 confused kids and my mom, who'd heard everything from her room, asking if everything was okay. I checked his Facebook that morning. He changed his status to single. Single. We're not officially separated. We haven't even talked about divorce. But he went ahead and changed his status to single like our marriage was just over. My sister Chelsea called me crying because she saw it. My friend Isla texted asking what was going on. His mom Cynthia called asking why her son was saying I chose my family over him. I've gotten messages from like 10 different people asking if we're splitting up. And Michael? He's not answering my calls. Not responding to texts. I left him a voicemail saying, We need to talk about this properly. He sent back one text. You made your choice and I made mine. I'm sitting here on Sunday night, after getting my mom her evening medications, putting the kids to bed, doing the dishes and folding laundry. And I just want to scream. My mom is dying. My kids are confused and scared. My husband walked out and is making me look like the bad guy who chose her family over her marriage. His friend Kelvin commented on his single status saying, "Welcome back to freedom, brother." And Michael liked it. His coworker Raymond posted something like, "Sometimes you got to put yourself first." And Michael commented, "Thanks, man. Needed to hear that." He's out there acting like he's some victim who escaped a terrible situation, when the terrible situation is me taking care of my terminally ill mother while trying to keep our family functioning. Chelsea came over tonight and sat with me while I ugly cried into my coffee. She said Michael is being incredibly selfish and cruel. That any decent husband would be supporting me right now, not bailing because he's not getting enough attention. My mom heard me crying and asked if this was her fault. And I had to lie and say no, everything's fine. But nothing is fine. My husband gave me an ultimatum between him and my dying mother. And when I didn't choose him, he left, packed a bag, changed his status to single, and is now out there telling everyone I'm obsessed with being a martyr who prioritizes everyone over her husband. I don't know what to do. I can't put my mom in a facility. She has weeks, maybe a couple months left, and she's terrified of dying alone. But I also can't just lose my marriage because I won't abandon her. Michael won't even talk to me to work this out. He's just gone. Update. Monday morning. I was in the kitchen making Ava's lunch for school, and trying to get Carlos to eat his breakfast instead of playing with his cereal when I heard a car pull into the driveway. Looked out the window and it was Michael's car. I wasn't ready to see him. Hadn't slept more than 3 hours. And I definitely wasn't prepared for whatever he was about to say. He walked in using his key, and the kids immediately ran to him, yelling, "Daddy, Daddy." He hugged them and I just stood there with a sandwich half made, watching this man who walked out on us 2 days ago act like nothing happened. He told the kids to go finish getting ready for school, and they ran upstairs, leaving us alone in the kitchen. "What are you doing here?" I asked, my voice flat. He said he needed to talk to me before work. "You've had 2 days to talk." I reminded him, my anger rising. "Instead, you changed your status to single and ignored all my calls." He said he needed space to think, and now he's ready to discuss things rationally. Rationally? I scoffed. "What's rational about abandoning your family?" He said he didn't abandon anyone. He's staying 10 minutes away at Vincent's place. "You walked out with a suitcase and told the world we're done." I shot back. "So yeah, that's abandoning us." Michael sat down at the kitchen table like he lived here. He said he's been doing a lot of thinking about our marriage and what went wrong. I stayed standing. I was not about to sit down and have some calm discussion while my mom is in the next room probably hearing all this and my kids are upstairs getting ready for school. He said the problem is I've completely lost sight of what matters. That ever since my mom moved in, I've become a different person. Someone who's constantly stressed and never has time for him or even the kids really because I'm so focused on caregiving. "Are you seriously saying I never have time for the kids?" I asked, my voice incredulous. "When I'm the one getting them ready for school every day, and making their meals and helping with homework, and literally everything else?" He said that's not what he means. He means quality time. That I'm physically present, but emotionally I'm somewhere else. "I'm emotionally exhausted," I told him, tears welling up. "From watching my mother die slowly while trying to keep everyone else functioning. And if you can't understand that, then I don't know what to tell you." Michael said that's exactly his point. "Everything is about my mom now. What do you expect?" I asked, my voice raw. "She's dying. Of course she's a priority right now." He said she's not just a priority, she's become my entire existence, and he's tired of coming in second or third or fourth. I asked him to explain how exactly he's coming in fourth. He started listing things. "We haven't been on a date in 3 months. I don't ask about his day anymore. I barely look at him when he walks in the door. I'm always too tired to watch TV with him at night. The last time we really talked about anything other than my mom or the kids was back in November." "I'm sorry," I said, my voice heavy with sarcasm. "I'm sorry I don't have energy for dates when I'm barely sleeping. Maybe if you helped more instead of keeping score, I'd have something left to give you." He said he's not keeping score. He's just pointing out that our marriage has completely fallen apart. Then he said something that made me want to throw the sandwich I was holding at his face. He said he's been talking to his friends and his brother and even his mom, and they all agree that what I'm doing isn't healthy, that I'm sacrificing my marriage and my own well-being for a situation that's only going to end one way anyway. I stared at him. Did you really just say, I asked, my voice trembling with suppressed fury, that my mom's death is inevitable, so why bother making her comfortable? He backtracked, saying that's not what he meant, but the reality is she's going to pass regardless of where she is, and at least in a facility she'd have professional care and I could focus on my actual family. She is my actual family, I screamed. He said he means my immediate family, him and the kids. My mom is also my immediate family, I retorted. And she's dying, and I will not spend her final weeks or months fighting with my husband about whether she deserves to be in her daughter's home. Michael said he's not saying she doesn't deserve it. He's saying the cost is too high. What cost? I asked. Our marriage, he said. If you continue down this path, we're not going to make it. Is that a threat? I asked. It's a reality check, he replied. Then Ava came downstairs with her backpack, asking if Daddy was staying for breakfast. Michael looked at me and I looked at him, and neither of us knew what to say. I told Ava, Daddy has to get to work, but he stopped by to see you and Carlos before school. She asked when he's coming home and he said, soon, sweetie. Very soon. After I dropped the kids at school, I came back and Michael was still there, sitting at the kitchen table like he was waiting for me. Why are you still here? I asked. He said, we're not done talking. I said, I have to check on my mom, and he said, your mom can wait 5 minutes. I went into my mom's room anyway. She was awake and asked if everything's okay with Michael. I lied and said, we're just working through some stuff. She looked at me with these sad eyes and said she never wanted to be a burden on my marriage. You're not a burden, I told her, my voice thick. You're my mother, and I love you and everything's fine. I came back to the kitchen and Michael was on his phone. I waited. What else do you want to say? I finally asked. He put his phone down and said he wants to propose a compromise. What kind of compromise? I asked, wary. He said he'll move back home if I agree to start looking into other care options for my mom. There is no other care option that doesn't involve putting her in a facility, I explained. And she doesn't want that. He said maybe it's not about what she wants at this point. Maybe it's about what's realistic. Do you hear yourself right now? I asked, incredulous. He said he's being practical and someone has to be because I'm too emotional to see clearly. Too emotional? Is watching your mother die a situation where you're not supposed to be emotional? I demanded. He said, of course, but emotions can't be the only thing driving decisions that affect the whole family. The decision is already made. I told him, my voice firm. My mom stays until she passes, and that's final. Michael stood up. Then so is his decision, he said. He's staying at Vincent's until you're ready to be reasonable. Define reasonable, I challenged. He said, putting my marriage first instead of a parent who's going to die anyway. I actually stepped toward him at that point. Get out of my house, I spat. If that's really how you feel. I don't want you here if you're going to talk about my dying mother like she's an inconvenience. She is an inconvenience to our marriage, he said, his voice hard. Whether you want to admit it or not. Leave, I commanded. He grabbed his keys. I'm leaving, he said. But this conversation isn't over. You need to really think about what you're choosing here, because once our marriage is destroyed, it won't come back. Our marriage is already destroyed, I told him. If this is who you are. He left, and I sat on the kitchen floor and just cried. My mom called from her room, asking if I was okay, and I had to pull myself together and go take care of her morning medications like nothing happened. Tuesday, my sister Chelsea came over while the kids were at school. She brought groceries and helped me clean the kitchen. Finally, I just broke down and told her everything Michael said. She was furious. Said Michael was being emotionally abusive and manipulative. That giving me an ultimatum between him and my dying mother was one of the cruelest things she's ever heard. Chelsea asked if I'd talked to anyone else about this. Not really, I admitted. Because I'm too embarrassed. Embarrassed about what? She demanded. You're not the one behaving terribly. I told her. Everyone's going to think I chose my mom over my husband. And she said, Anyone who thinks that is an idiot because there's no choosing involved. You're caring for a terminally ill parent while your husband throws a tantrum. She stayed for 3 hours helping me with laundry and meal prep and just being there. My mom was having a bad pain day and needed extra attention, and Chelsea helped with that too. When she left, she hugged me and said, "She's here whenever I need her, and Michael can go to hell." Wednesday morning, Cynthia called me. Michael's mom. I almost didn't answer, but I figured I'd have to talk to her eventually. She started with, "I know you and Michael are going through a difficult time, and I want to understand your perspective." I told her my perspective is I'm caring for my dying mother, and Michael can't handle not being the center of attention for a few months. Cynthia got quiet, then said she knows my situation is hard, but marriage is sacred and it requires sacrifice from both people. I asked her what exactly I'm not sacrificing, because from where I'm standing, I've sacrificed sleep and peace and apparently my marriage to take care of my mom. She said she means sacrificing pride and being willing to compromise. I asked what compromise she's suggesting, and she said maybe looking into professional home care or part-time facility care for my mom so I can focus more on my family. My mom is my family, I stated, my voice shaking. Cynthia said she understands, but Michael is my husband, and that relationship has to come first. I asked her point blank if she's saying I should put my mom in a facility against her wishes so Michael feels more important. Cynthia said she's not saying that exactly, but sometimes we have to make hard choices for the good of our marriage. I told her the hard choice I'm making is watching my husband walk away because he can't be supportive during the hardest time of my life. She tried to say Michael is being supportive. He's just struggling and needs me to meet him halfway. Halfway, I countered, would be him helping more, not giving ultimatums. She said Michael works very hard and deserves to come home to a wife who makes him feel valued. I deserve a husband who supports me through my mother's death, I said. But apparently that's too much to ask. Cynthia's voice got firm. You're being very stubborn, she warned. And if you're not careful, you're going to lose your husband over this. If my husband leaves because I won't abandon my dying mother, I told her, my voice clear and strong, then I don't want him anyway. She said, "You'll regret saying that." And I said, "Maybe, but I won't regret being there for my mom when she needed me most." We hung up and I was shaking. Michael's own mother is taking his side, like I'm the villain here. Thursday afternoon, I had to take my mom to an oncology appointment. Her doctor said her condition is progressing faster than expected. We're probably looking at weeks now, not months. Weeks. I sat there in that office with my mom, squeezing her hand, while the doctor talked about pain management and end-of-life planning. All I could think was, Michael wants me to put her in a facility for weeks. I had to sit in that parking lot for 10 minutes just breathing, before I could drive her home. Got home, and my friend Isla was there waiting because Chelsea had texted her that I needed support. She brought dinner for me and the kids, and insisted on staying to help with the evening routine. While my mom was resting and the kids were doing homework, Isla asked me what I'm going to do about Michael. I don't know, I admitted. Part of me wants to fight for my marriage, but another part is so angry at him for making this about him. Isla said any marriage worth fighting for wouldn't require me to abandon my dying mother. That Michael is showing me who he really is and I should believe him. Friday evening, Michael texted me asking if we can meet somewhere to talk. I said the kids have school, and I can't leave my mom alone for long so he can come to the house. He said he doesn't want to talk at the house. Too many bad memories already. Then I guess we're not talking. I texted back, my fingers flying. He called immediately. Said I'm being difficult on purpose and he's trying to work this out. I asked him what working it out looks like to him, and he said me agreeing to get my mom alternative care. That's not happening, I said, my voice tired. We're just going in circles. Then what's the point of trying? He asked, exasperated. I asked him if he even wants to try, or if he just wants me to give in. He said he wants me to be realistic about what's sustainable. Caring for my mother for a few more weeks is absolutely sustainable. I insisted. He got quiet. What do you mean by weeks? He finally asked. I told him about the doctor's update. Michael actually said, "Oh, so it's almost over anyway." Anyway, like my mom's impending death was good news because then he could have his wife back. Is that really what you just said? I asked, my voice dangerously calm. He tried to backtrack, saying he just means maybe there's light at the end of the tunnel for us. There's no us right now, I told him, my voice breaking. You walked out and changed your status to single and have been staying with your brother, acting like a victim, while I'm here watching my mother die. He said he's not acting like a victim. He is a victim of circumstance. The circumstance, I retorted, is you chose to leave instead of helping. Michael said he'll help once things get back to normal. When exactly will things be back to normal? I demanded. And he said, once your mom passes and we can focus on rebuilding. I told him that's disgusting. He's literally waiting for my mother to die so he can have his comfortable life back. He said that's not what he means and I'm twisting his words. His words are pretty clear, I said, my voice cold. He wants me to either dump my dying mother in a facility or wait for her to die, so he doesn't have to deal with any of it. He said I'm being unfair and he's trying here. I asked him what he's trying exactly because all I see is him complaining and avoiding and making demands. He said he's trying to save our marriage. You don't save a marriage by abandoning your partner when they need you most. I cried. He said I abandoned him first by becoming someone he doesn't recognize. He said he'll come home when I'm ready to prioritize our marriage. I am prioritizing our marriage, I told him, by being honest that I cannot and will not abandon my mother. He said then I'm choosing and I need to live with that choice. The only person making choices here is you, I said, and hung up. Saturday morning, Ava asked me again when Daddy's coming home. I don't know, sweetie, I said, my heart aching. And she started crying. Said her friend Maisie's parents got divorced, and now Maisie only sees her dad on weekends, and she doesn't want that to happen to us. Carlos heard and started crying too. I sat on the floor with both my kids, just holding them while they cried, and tried to explain that sometimes grown-ups need space, but it doesn't mean they don't love each other or their kids. Ava asked if it's because of Grandma. No, baby, I lied. It has nothing to do with Grandma. But she's 8 and she's not stupid. She knows Grandma being sick has changed everything. My mom heard the kids crying and called from her room. I got the kids calmed down and settled with a movie and went to check on her. She was crying too. Said she's ruining my life and my marriage, and maybe she should just go to hospice. I sat on her bed and held her hand and told her absolutely not. She's staying right here where she belongs. She said she doesn't want to be the reason I lose my husband. Michael is the reason I'm losing my husband, I said through my own tears, by being selfish and unsupportive. She said, but if she wasn't here, none of this would be happening. I said, if Michael was a decent husband, he'd be helping me care for her, not running away. Sunday morning I was doing laundry and my phone rang. Vincent, Michael's brother. I answered and he said he needs to talk to me about Michael. Okay, I said, bracing myself. He said Michael's been staying with him for over a week now and he's a mess. That he's not sleeping well. And he's clearly depressed and keeps talking about how his marriage is falling apart. I asked Vincent why he's calling me about this, and he said because someone needs to fix this situation before it's too late. I told him I'm not the one who needs to fix anything. Michael walked out. Vincent said Michael walked out because he felt pushed out. That from his perspective I basically chose my mom over him. I laughed. Vincent, I asked, my voice laced with bitterness, would you put your dying mother in a home so your wife wouldn't feel neglected? He said that's not the point. And I said that's exactly the point. Vincent said relationships require compromise, and sometimes you have to make hard choices. I've made my choice, I told him, and it's to be there for my mother in her final weeks. And what about after? He pressed. What happens to your marriage then? I don't know, I said, a wave of sadness washing over me. Maybe Michael will come back and we'll try to rebuild, or maybe he won't, and I'll know I married someone who couldn't be there when I needed him most. Vincent said I'm being very black and white about this. It feels pretty black and white, I told him. When your husband gives you an ultimatum between him and your dying mother. He said Michael didn't mean it like an ultimatum. He just wanted me to understand how serious things are. Then Michael should have used his words, I snapped, instead of packing a suitcase and changing his Facebook status. The call ended badly, with Vincent saying I'm being unreasonable, and me telling him to stay out of my marriage. Now Vincent is probably telling Michael I'm being difficult, which is just perfect. Sunday night, after getting my mom settled and the kids to bed, I sat in my room and looked at Michael's Facebook. He posted a photo from some bar with Kelvin and Raymond, captioned, "Finally feeling like myself again. Like being married to me and parenting our children was some prison he escaped from." The comments were full of his friends hyping him up. Someone said, "Living your best life." Someone else said, "You deserve happiness, man." Kelvin commented again saying, "Single life is treating you well." And Michael replied with a laughing emoji. I wanted to comment and tell everyone what's really happening, that he's not single. He's just avoiding his responsibilities. That his wife isn't keeping him prisoner. She's exhausted from caregiving while he does nothing. But I didn't. Because what's the point? Monday morning this week, Michael texted saying he wants to see the kids. "Fine," I replied. "Come over after school." He said he wants to take them to the park, just them without me there. "Why?" I asked, a knot forming in my stomach. He said he wants to talk to them without me hovering. Update 2 coming, because what Michael said to our children was so out of line. And now his entire family is coming after me, saying I'm poisoning the kids against him. Last update. Monday afternoon, Michael showed up at 3:30 p.m. Right when I got back from picking up the kids from school. Ava and Carlos were so excited to see him. Ran straight to his car yelling, "Daddy!" I stood on the porch watching him hug them and load them into his car. And something in my gut told me this was a bad idea. But what was I supposed to do? Say no, you can't see your own kids? He said he'd have them back by dinner time and drove off. I went inside and checked on my mom, who was having another rough day. Lots of pain and nausea. I spent the next 2 hours managing her medications and trying to keep her comfortable, while also making dinner and doing laundry, and checking the clock every 10 minutes. Michael brought the kids back at 6:15 p.m. They came inside and both went straight to their rooms without saying hi to me or asking about dinner. That's weird, because normally they're all over me after being out, wanting to tell me everything they did. What happened? I asked Michael. Nothing, he said. They just had fun at the park. Did you say something to them? I pressed. We just talked about stuff, he said. Nothing bad. Then he left before I could ask more questions. I went upstairs and knocked on Ava's door. She was lying on her bed staring at the ceiling. Did you have fun with Daddy? I asked. Yeah, I guess, she mumbled. I sat on her bed and asked what they talked about. She got quiet and then said, Daddy told her that Grandma being here is making Mommy too stressed, and that's why he had to leave. My heart dropped into my stomach. What else did he say? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Ava said Daddy told her that sometimes people have to make hard choices, and Mommy chose to take care of Grandma instead of taking care of the family. Did Daddy say anything else? I pushed. Ava started crying. Said Daddy told her that Grandma is very sick and probably going to heaven soon, and after that happens, Mommy and Daddy might be able to fix things. That Daddy misses them so much, but he can't come home yet because the house is too sad and stressful right now. I was shaking. I went to Carlos's room. He was playing with his action figures. But when I asked about the park, he got this look on his face. Said, Daddy told him that sometimes grown-ups fight because they want different things. That Mommy wants to take care of Grandma, and Daddy wants the family to be happy again. Carlos asked me if I don't want the family to be happy. I wanted to cry. I told him, of course I want us to be happy, baby, but sometimes we have to take care of people who are sick. He said, Daddy said there are people whose job it is to take care of sick people, and maybe that would be better. Michael told our children that I should put my mom in a facility. He used his time with them to plant seeds that I'm choosing wrong, making them think this is my fault. I called him immediately. He answered and I went off. How dare you, I raged. Use our kids to manipulate me. He said he didn't manipulate anyone. He just had an honest conversation with them about what's happening. An honest conversation, I spat. Would be explaining that you left because you couldn't handle supporting your wife, not telling them Mommy chose wrong. Michael said the kids deserve to know the truth. What truth exactly? I demanded. That I'm prioritizing my mom over everyone else, including them. He yelled. That's a lie, and you know it. I screamed back. I'm taking care of my mom, and them and everything else, while you're out living your best single life. He said the kids can sense the tension, and they deserve to understand why their dad isn't home. They deserve to understand that their dad abandoned them, I said, my voice cold. Not that their mom is doing something wrong. He said I'm twisting this and he was just being honest with them about the situation. If you ever talk to our kids about our marriage problems again without discussing it with me first, I warned, my voice shaking with fury, I will lose it. He said they're his kids too, and he can talk to them about whatever he wants. Not when it's manipulation disguised as honesty. I cried. He said I'm being paranoid, and he'd never manipulate his own children. We argued for 30 minutes. Him insisting he just wanted the kids to understand why he's not home. Me saying he's using them as weapons to pressure me. Finally, he said maybe the kids should understand that their mom is making choices that affect the whole family. Go to hell. I screamed and hung up. Tuesday morning, Cynthia showed up at my house at 8 a.m. Just showed up unannounced, while I was trying to get the kids ready for school and help my mom with her morning routine. She knocked and I answered and she walked right in saying we need to talk about the children. Now is not a good time, I told her. It's never a good time with you anymore, she snapped. But this is important. She sat down in my living room and said she heard from Michael that I yelled at him for talking to his own kids. I yelled at him for manipulating them. I corrected, my voice tight. She said he wasn't manipulating anyone. He was being honest about a difficult situation. Do you think it's appropriate, I asked, staring her down, to tell an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old that their mom is choosing wrong? Cynthia said if the shoe fits, maybe I should examine my choices. I stared at her. This woman who I've known for 10 years, who's been to every holiday and birthday, who held my hand at the hospital when Ava was born, is sitting in my living room telling me I'm choosing wrong while my mother is dying upstairs. You need to leave, I told her, my voice low and firm. She said, not until we discuss this properly, because her grandchildren are suffering. They're suffering because their father walked out, I said, my voice rising. Not because their grandmother is here. Cynthia said Michael walked out because he had no other choice. You backed him into a corner. How exactly? I asked, disbelief flooding me. Did I back him into a corner by caring for my terminally ill mother? She said by refusing to compromise or consider his needs. His needs don't outweigh my mother's life, I stated. She said my mother is dying anyway, and destroying my marriage won't change that anyway. Everyone keeps saying anyway. Like my mom's death is inevitable, so nothing I do matters. Get out of my house, I told Cynthia, my voice trembling with suppressed rage. She stood up and said I'm making a huge mistake, and I'm going to lose everything because of pride. The only thing I'm losing, I said, is a husband who can't support me, and a mother-in-law who thinks I should abandon my dying mom. She left, but not before saying the kids told her they miss their dad and don't understand why mommy is being so difficult. I wanted to scream because of course that's what they said after Michael planted those ideas in their heads. Wednesday my mom had to go to the hospital because her pain wasn't controlled with the home medications. We spent 6 hours in the ER getting her admitted and adjusted and comfortable. I called Chelsea to pick up the kids from school and stay with them. Didn't call Michael because why would I? He's made it clear he's not part of this anymore. Got home at 9 p.m., exhausted, and found 3 missed calls from Michael and 2 from Vincent. I called Michael back and he immediately started yelling about how I didn't tell him my mom was in the hospital, and he had to hear it from his brother, who heard it from his mom. I was busy managing an emergency, I snapped, and didn't think to update my estranged husband. Estranged is a strong word, he retorted. So is single, I shot back. But that's what you changed your status to. He asked about my mom, and I told him she's stable and probably coming home in a day or 2. He said he wants to bring the kids to visit her. Absolutely not, I exclaimed. I'm not exposing them to the hospital, and also, you don't get to play supportive family member now. Michael said the kids love their grandma and deserve to see her. They'll see her when she's home and comfortable, I said. Not in a hospital bed. He said I'm keeping them away from her because I'm angry at him. I'm keeping them away because they're children, I said, my voice weary, and they don't need to see their grandmother in the hospital. He said I'm being controlling and making all the decisions without consulting him. When exactly did you want to be consulted? I challenged. When you were at the bar with your friends? Or when you were posting on Facebook about your freedom? He said that's not fair. Neither is walking out on your family, and then demanding to be included in decisions. I yelled. Thursday, my mom came home from the hospital. Her doctor pulled me aside and said, "We're really looking at days to maybe 2 weeks now." Days. I had to sit in that parking lot for 10 minutes just breathing before I could drive her home. Got her settled and comfortable, and the hospice nurse came by to set up more equipment and medications. My mom looked at me while the nurse was there and said she's sorry for all this. "Stop apologizing," I pleaded, tears stinging my eyes. "You have nothing to be sorry for." She said she's sorry Michael left, and sorry the kids are confused, and sorry I'm so tired all the time. I sat on her bed and held her hand. "You're the best mom I could have asked for," I whispered. "And I'm grateful for every extra day I get with you." She said she's ready to go whenever it's time, and she just wants to make sure I'm going to be okay. I lied. I said I'll be fine. Friday morning, Ava had a meltdown before school. Wouldn't get dressed, wouldn't eat breakfast, just sat on the floor crying. "What's wrong?" I asked, my heart breaking. She said she doesn't want Grandma to die, and she doesn't want Daddy to leave forever. Carlos heard and started crying too. I ended up sitting on the floor with both of them, just holding them while they cried. Called them in sick to school, and let them spend the morning watching movies. My mom heard the commotion and asked if the kids are okay. I told her they're processing everything and they'll be fine. She said maybe Michael is right about the kids being affected. "Michael doesn't get an opinion right now," I said, my voice tight. Friday afternoon, Michael showed up without calling first. Just rang the doorbell, and when I answered, he pushed past me, saying he's here to see his kids. "You can't just show up whenever you want." I protested. He said this is still his house too. He's on the mortgage. We stood in the hallway arguing, and Ava came down the stairs asking what's happening. Michael immediately went into dad mode, all smiles and hugs, asking if she's okay. She told him she stayed home sick, and he looked at me accusingly like I didn't tell him on purpose. Michael sat with the kids for an hour and I tried to give them space, but I could hear him telling them how much he misses them, how he wants to come home so badly, but grown-up stuff is complicated. How he hopes things will be better soon. Making promises he might not keep, and giving them hope that's maybe false. After he left, Ava asked me if Daddy's coming home soon. "I don't know, sweetie," I said, my voice weary. And she said, "But Daddy said he wants to." I told her wanting something and it actually happening are different things. She asked if I want Daddy to come home. I didn't know how to answer. Do I want Michael to come home? The man who walked out on me when I needed him most? The man who gave me an ultimatum between him and my dying mother? The man who's been out living his best life while I'm here drowning? I told Ava, "I want Daddy to be happy and I want us all to be okay." And that's the truth right now. Saturday morning my phone started blowing up. Texts from numbers I don't even have saved. I looked at Facebook, and Michael had posted a long status about how hard it is to be separated from your kids when you're just trying to do what's best for everyone. About how sometimes marriage requires tough love and space, and hopefully his wife will understand eventually. The comments were full of people supporting him. His friends saying, "Hang in there, brother." His coworkers saying, "You're doing great." Even some mutual friends commenting about how hard separation is. And I'm sitting here with our kids and my dying mother, looking like the villain who pushed him away. I wanted to comment and tell the truth, but what's the point? Michael has already painted himself as the victim who had no choice but to leave. Anything I say will make me look bitter and defensive. My mom passed away early Sunday morning, peacefully, in her sleep, with me holding her hand. I called Chelsea and she came right over. I called Michael and left a voicemail saying my mom is gone, and I need him to take the kids for a few days while I handle arrangements. He showed up 2 hours later, and the first thing he said was, "I'm so sorry." And I told him he doesn't get to be sorry. He wasn't here. He tried to hug me and I stepped back. He said, "We can put all our issues aside for now." And I said there's nothing to put aside. You made your choice weeks ago. Michael took the kids, and I spent Sunday planning my mother's funeral alone. Monday morning Cynthia called, saying she wants to help with arrangements. I told her thank you but no. She said Michael told her I'm pushing everyone away, and she's worried about me. I said I'm not pushing anyone away. I'm just handling things myself like I've been doing for months. The funeral was Wednesday. Michael texted saying he and the kids will be there, obviously, and he hopes we can be civil. I said I'll be civil for the kids and that's it. He said after the funeral we need to have a serious talk about our future. Our future was decided, I texted back. When you walked out. He called. Said, that's not fair. We haven't even tried counseling or really working on things. I asked when exactly we were supposed to try counseling. When I was caring for my dying mother. Or planning her funeral. He said, now that your mom has passed, maybe we can focus on us. I don't want to focus on us right now, I said, my voice tired and raw. I just want to bury my mother in peace. Michael said he understands I'm grieving, but we can't keep avoiding this forever. I'm not avoiding anything, I said. I just have bigger priorities right now. He said. And that's always the problem, isn't it? I always have bigger priorities than him. I hung up. I'm sitting here Tuesday night, the day before I bury my mother. And my husband is texting me about needing to discuss our marriage. My kids are at his brother's place, confused about everything. My house feels empty without my mom. And Michael wants to talk about us. Like I have anything left to give to a relationship with someone who abandoned me when I needed him most. I don't know if I want him to come back. I don't know if I can forgive him for leaving. I don't know if loving someone is enough when they've shown you they won't be there when things get hard. All I know is I'm burying my mom tomorrow, and somehow I have to figure out what comes next. Final small update. The funeral was 3 weeks ago. And I'm writing this because people keep asking what happened with Michael. At the funeral, Michael sat next to me with the kids between us. He kept trying to hold my hand during the service and I kept pulling away. Afterwards, he cornered me at the reception at Chelsea's house and said, now that everything's settled, we need to talk about moving forward together. I looked at this man who spent the last month of my mother's life complaining about being lonely while I watched her die. Who gave me an ultimatum and walked out. Who changed his status to single and went out partying while I planned a funeral. And I told him there is no moving forward together. He said we can't make permanent decisions while I'm grieving. And I said, I'm not making decisions while grieving, Michael. I'm making decisions based on who you showed me you are. He tried to say he was just struggling and didn't handle things well. But he loves me and wants to fix this. I asked him where that love was when I needed him most. Michael said he's sorry and he was selfish and he wants to come home and support me now. I told him it's too late for now. That I needed him then and he chose to leave. He said, everyone makes mistakes and marriages are about forgiveness. I said, some mistakes are too big to forgive. He started crying right there, at my mother's funeral reception, saying he can't lose his family over this. I told him he already lost it when he packed that suitcase. What about the kids? He sobbed. And I said, we'll figure out custody, but you're not moving back into my house. Last week, Michael came by to pick up more of his stuff and tried again. Said he's been in therapy and realizing how wrong he was, that he wants to prove he can be better. I asked him if his therapist knows he manipulated our children and used them as weapons against me. He said that wasn't manipulation. It was just trying to help them understand. I told him to take his stuff and go. He said, I'm being cold and unforgiving, and this isn't the woman he married. And I said, the woman you married died a little bit every day for 3 months while you complained about being neglected. He said, that's not fair. And I said, neither was any of this. Michael's still staying at Vincent's. We're figuring out a custody schedule through lawyers now because every conversation turns into him trying to convince me to give him another chance. Cynthia keeps texting, saying I'm being too harsh and everyone deserves forgiveness. I blocked her number last week. The kids are adjusting. They miss their dad, but they're not crying every night anymore. Ava asked me if Daddy's ever coming back home, and I told her probably not. But Daddy still loves her and Carlos very much. She said she understands because sometimes grown-ups can't fix what's broken. My house feels different without my mom, but also peaceful, in a way it hasn't been in months. No more fighting. No more Michael sulking in the guest room. Just me and my kids figuring out our new normal. Honestly, I'm still reeling from all of this. What would you have done in my shoes? Have you ever faced something so unbelievably selfish? Tell me what you think, I really want to know.